Hey everybody, in this video we're going to talk about why it is essential to have a vision for the future, specifically a positive vision for the future, to have an effective allyship practice. So there are two basic human drives if you want to get really simplistic with it. There's the drive towards pleasure and the drive away from pain. And many people, when they think of the concept of allyship and their relationship to it, they imagine, okay, there are some people out there who are in desperate need of help. I would like to help them avoid pain. And so I become an ally. I show up to help them avoid pain. But what I found that people do is that they will choose, in motivating themselves to be an ally to someone else, they will install structures in their own life that cause them pain to incentivize themselves to help others avoid pain. And again, it kind of works. You can ask anyone who works in the humanitarian field, nonprofit, like this entire structure is pretty much built on people inflicting pain on themselves to relieve pain from others. But ultimately, that creates an untenable cycle. So how do we bring in this concept of, okay, let's go after pleasure in our allyship? In a world in which going after this concept of being an ally, at least the narratives that we've seen aren't inherently pleasurable. So we have to actually dig a little bit deeper into, I guess what we'll call the human experience to see, well, what are the things that are hard, that are difficult, that take a long time, that don't have immediate reward that we do that give us a sense of pleasure or meaning. And at least in my experience, the only thing that at least I do is creativity and playing games specifically. There are games that are very, very difficult, and I play them because it gives me pleasure to do so. Creativity does that because even though you're working really hard towards something, eventually you will reach your goal, and the process of getting towards your goal feels excellent. So in mastering the game of allyship, we create a vision of the future that can pull you towards being an ally. And so that vision of the future has to also have within it the process of getting to that future that was fun, that had a sense of creativity, that had a sense of play. I read a lot of science fiction books, big science fiction fan, and there's a lot of dystopian stories that are being told these days, and there's a few stories that are utopian. Many people don't read utopian stories because they assume that there's no meaningful plot, but in utopian stories you have to have a plot. It's just the opposite of a dystopia. In a utopian story, there's a future that is better than the future of the reader, and you see the ways in which the people of that future protect their idyllic reality from threats. And in doing so, we learn, okay, well, here is the things that we'd have to build to get to that future, and here's what the cost of utopia is. We basically have to do that in our own minds when we think of allyship in order for us to be drawn towards it. If we're imagining that the future is going to be bad and that we're avoiding a bad future by being an ally, again, it'll get you so far, but the thing that will allow you to sustainably move towards that future is the commitment to the positive future that you're actually going for. The thing that all of your parts will agree with is worth fighting for, is worth maybe even suffering for a little bit, and being able to create a practice of showing up to that every single day. You can try the other way. I'm totally for it, and honestly, most people are doing that way, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that there's not models for kind of finding a way to abuse yourself into helping others. Sacrifice is an important part of this sort of Western idea of growth and success. I would just like to throw out there that maybe there's another way. Maybe we can shift our perspective a little bit and actively build in sustainable structures that will move us towards a vision of the future that we want. And then our conversations can be around how can we align and integrate different types of visions of the future so that we can collectively bring people on board to move towards something that we're about instead of needing to run away from the experiences that we don't want to have. And again, in Mastering the Game of Allyship, this is what we do. We teach you a step-by-step process to identify all your different parts, figure out what their vision of the future is, their ideal vision for the future, including the ones that are holding you back, the ones that are stopping you from taking the next step. They have a vision for the future that they are fighting for. So finding your part's vision of the future and integrating it into your larger vision of the future allows you to reclaim your emotional energy that those parts might have been taking away from you, and allows you to move forward with at least a little bit less effort than it's taking you currently to get the things that you want. So you can sign up for that until September 1. We're going to have a discount, an early bird discount. If you put in the code early bird, all caps, into the link in the bio, you will be able to get $350 off Mastering the Game of Allyship before the price goes up on September 1 to $600. So I'm excited to go on this journey with you. And yeah, really lean into that vision of the future. My vision of the future has you joining us on this really cool ride.